Good. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. We're going to jump in. We appreciate you spending a little time with us. We really want to talk about improving data integrity, getting things done right in the clean room. And it's really involving a couple of small product enhancements that have come from Systec and Solutions, but adding an NFC reader or the combination of an NFC reader and Bluetooth BLE, Bluetooth Low Energy to a tablet that is clean room certified and show. Stuart, can you hear me? I lost every screen for a moment.
I can hear you now, Mike. You disappeared there for a moment.
I'm sorry. Jeff, if you could advance the slide. And I apologize, everyone. We really had some issues. So what we're asking everyone to do, just so we can stay on track here, assuming the internet and Microsoft lets us, do your best not to be distracted. We all have pop-ups going on. Use the chat if you have questions. If you ask a question, it will show up to Jeff, our moderator. It's not going to be publicly shown, but Jeff will get those questions to us so we can answer them. Take notes as things are coming by. If there's something that catches your eye, write it down. You can put it in the chat here, or you can email one of us later. And lastly, if you would answer the poll question, it's always useful information. Everybody loves seeing polls. Nobody likes to participate in them, but if we don't participate in them, we don't get to see the results. So Jeff, next slide. So what we want to go through, what is data integrity? I think everyone probably has a pretty good idea, but it's pretty good to just kind of go through what are the basic building blocks of it from beginning to end. What options exist for the clean room? And we're going to focus on that area today. And that is really where a lot of the data does begin, where it originates and how it could be automated and improved. What sort of options exist in the clean room and how do they impact your data integrity? And then as I opened with what is a near field communication device or a BLE, Bluetooth Low Energy device do, and how does that enable technology to help you in the clean room? And then how to get started and any questions and answers if there are any. So just a couple of introductions. I am Mike Lohmeyer. I head up the distribution group here at Grantek. We are a North American distributor for Systec and Solutions. They make all sorts of devices, IT/OT devices for GMP pharmaceutical applications. I'm based out of the Chicago area, and I've been with Grantek for 15 years. Stuart?
Thanks, Mike. So Stuart MacLean, really nice to be here with everybody today. I head up the product group at Nymi. Nymi makes a wearable authenticator for the active worker, which I'll speak a little bit about later on in the slides. Yeah, I've been with Nymi about 10 years, spanning a bunch of roles, and my responsibility is really to create a valuable product for the market. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks. Okay. So quick poll question, if you would, please reply. On your data integrity in your operation, what is your level of confidence? Very confident, fairly confident, pretty confident, maybe only somewhat, or the fear of an audit is very real for you. So, and we'll mention audits a little bit later and what they're looking for. Thank you. Everyone's responding very well. Thank you very much. We'll wait till the charts here kind of stabilize. So at the moment we have 13% at very confident, 75 fairly confident, 12% somewhat confident, and a few at 6% who have a little bit of fear of an audit. So probably a very standard distribution. Next slide, Jeff. So data integrity. On our next slide, we're going to show you kind of what are the pieces of it. And there is a life cycle to data integrity. And it's maintaining the completeness, accuracy, and consistency throughout its life cycle. But the life cycle is creating it. It has to start, processing it, then having it available for review, reporting, and use, retention, and retrieval, and in the end, destruction when it's no longer needed. We're going to focus today on the first two steps, creation and processing. And a lot of this goes on right in the clean room where the process and activity is happening. So, where does data integrity matter? Really, everywhere you're doing something that's regulated. It could be in the direct manufacturing area where you're mixing and blending. It could be in packaging. It could be in storage where you're maintaining things properly. Clinical areas, clinical trials as you're getting to approval, and then in the laboratory where you're doing testing. All these places have regulated data. All of them have data that has to have data integrity. So why now? The question really isn't so much why now, but why is it still an issue? If you look at the letters coming from the FDA, the warning letters citing data integrity, you can see there was a bit of a peak back in like 2016, 2017, and it appeared to be going down. It's heading back up again, and this is showing the percentage of warning letters from the FDA that cite data integrity. And if you look at some of the most common deficiencies, inadequate controls over your computer systems, failure to investigate or report an out-of-spec situation, invalidation of out-of-spec results, data that isn't retained or properly reviewed, data that can be overwritten or aborted, shredding of records without justification, and audit trails are not enabled or reviewed. I mean, we're all working on data-driven decisions, and maintaining this data is important. Creating it in the beginning and creating it correctly is important as well. And that's where we're going to focus today. So, what is data versus a record versus a regulated record? Data is a piece of data, 142 degrees F. Metadata puts context to it. What process line, what batch, who is the operator, what date, what time, the metadata, which is data about your data. And all that together makes a record. So now you have data with some context. And if that data is a regulated record, that is where data integrity is very important. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And it's really managing the collection of the data, creating the metadata, and getting it together as quickly and doing it one time if possible. So the acronym ALCOA is part of data integrity. If you start clockwise from high noon, the attributes, the legibility, the contemporaneous, the original, is it accurate? And then it goes around the wheel for the rest. But all these make sure that the data you have collected is attributed to something. It is legible. It was collected at the time and documented at the time. You don't come back tomorrow and say, yes, it was 142 degrees F. You do it immediately at the moment when it occurs. You want to make sure you're working with the original record, the first time it was written down or keyed in. And of course, it has to be accurate. And accuracy is a part we're going to talk about today for automating. Next slide. So let's talk about some of the options that exist in your clean room that are part of the front end of data integrity. You're not going to work across the top layer. These are stainless steel IT/OT devices that can be anything from a simple display to a full-blown high-powered, 11th gen i7 CPU device. And if you look at the components, we'll start in the upper left. First, you have your screen and your IPC, and they can be anywhere from 7-inch diagonal up to 55-inch diagonal, wrapped in stainless steel, proper glass, proper sealing, ready to withstand any washdown from a 1.9 pH spore cleanse to a 12 and 13%, 12 or 13 pH, 40% sodium hydroxide, isopropyl alcohol, purified water, etc. But that's the actual device. Next to it is a keyboard. There are multiple keyboard options. There are multiple mounting options, ceiling, floor, wall, fixed, flexible to swing around. Some are just desktop. If you look through the middle layer here, if you want these on mobile bases, so you have wheels with batteries in either a AGM sealed lead acid or lithium ion, you can roll these from place to place within a room or to a different room. The batteries will give you up to 2 10-hour shifts worth of power without plugging in. You can recharge the batteries either by actually plugging into an outlet or by bumping up against an inductive charging station. And if you have inductive charging and you're moving from place to place, as long as part of every day is bumping up against a charger, these things can run continuously inside your clean rooms and GMP areas and always be there to function for you. What's important about them, 304 or 316L stainless special glass, FDA, pharmaceutical grade silicon sealing on everything. You can wash them down in any way you need to. And then as you look across the bottom, there's some nice options like tablets, which we're going to talk about today. Some for hazardous environments, class 1, div 1, div 2, and then some containers for accessories you might have in these areas like printers and scanners. Next slide. So what we're talking about today, there are 3 different tablets, a Microsoft, a Zenith, an Apple iPad. Really, you're talking about the operating systems. If you want to work with Windows, Linux, Android, iOS, they're all available. And what we're really going to talk about today is being able to put a little optional reader on the side for near field communication and Bluetooth Low Energy. So a number of features and functions that come by being able to do this and automating things. One of them is with a rear-facing camera, you can point at something, take a picture of it. If it's a label, if it's a container, whatever it might be, if you want to insert that into a batch record, you can take that digital image, immediately upload it, put it in the software. Most good MES software packages have the ability to take an image and store it, and it can be done accurately, it can be done immediately, and it can be done right in the clean room, which is a great benefit. Next. And then reading barcodes. Most tablets have or claim to have some level of ability to read 1D, 2D barcodes. There are packages you can load, software that's available. Our company happens to have a lot of experience with Cognex, both their cameras, but their software. If you put Cognex in there, the ability to load all these formats of 2D barcodes works really well. And if you have an area in your facility where maybe you're mixing minor ingredients or doing something where it's going to be added to a larger batch later, you put it in a container, you can print a label that's both alphanumeric, so it's readable by the operator, but you can also have a 2D barcode which has the same information. When that shows up, the operator can just scan that 2D barcode, recognize what it is, compare it to what's in the batch record, make sure they're adding what should be added at that point in time, capture it and move on. So it's a great way to automate another piece of the process, put it in your batch record, have it done accurately and automatically, and it's done immediately. So it's immediately into your MES system. Next. Biometric authentication, that's why Stuart's here. I'm going to let him cover that. The important part is Systec has just announced the device they clip into the side now that is both NFC near field communication and Bluetooth Low Energy BLE. And you can add that to a tablet. And even though the tablet itself is in stainless steel, which makes it difficult for radio waves to come through, Systec has put this on the outside. It is in a sort of plastic that can withstand all the clean and survive it in plastic. I hope we kept everybody. We had a little hiccup here on the internet. But what this does, by allowing the operator to log in or do e-signatures, again, everything is immediate, automatic, and in the batch record immediately. Next slide. So how do these things affect data integrity, which is great. Well, we talked about the creation of it and then the processing. Pharma 4.0, people talk about as putting paper on glass. A tablet PC is a great way to do that. You walk in and instead of a notebook or a piece of paper with SOPs or writing batch notes on it, you're putting it in automatically. Not only automatically putting in the tablet, it automatically is going up into whatever data repository you are using, probably in your MES system. And it's giving you automatic identification of the operator, date and time stamping, version control of documents. All of this is being done automatically and immediately, which is that first step of data integrity in the creation. Next. We already discussed inserting pictures. Not everyone does it, but it's something a lot more people are considering, and most of your better and more complete MES packages are making this available. And it's a great way to put something in as it's being done. Again, it's the immediate, it's the accurate, and it's available right away. Next. Good. And reading barcodes. The more you can have things barcoded, the less people are keying in, the more often people can be just scanning a barcode, whether it comes in from a supplier or you create it on your own for various steps going through the process. You can scan it, read it, store it. It is immediate, it is accurate, and it's a lot faster. The operator is not typing or writing, and no one has to rewrite it down or retype it. It is in where it needs to be immediately, and it is accurate. So it's a great thing to have. And as we mentioned a few minutes ago, Cognex is there are other examples. Cognex is one we really have had great success with. Biometric authentication, I'll give it a quick overview. Stuart's going to jump into it, but there are two aspects to it. One of them is efficiency. Every time you're logging in, approving something, e-signatures, a quick scan versus typing is infinitely faster. It's far more accurate. There are other values of that Stuart's going to talk about, but it saves so much time, creates so much accuracy, and there's such acceptance by the operators. It saves them a lot of time, a lot of work. And we certainly have keyboards that can be used in a clean room, and the tablet can be used in the clean room. It's a lot less work to do one quick scan than to type in your credentials. I'm going to turn it over to Stuart. He can go more deep into authentication.
Thanks, Mike. Jeff, next slide. Here we are. Okay, so this is the Nymi Band, and it's at the core of the Nymi product. It's a wearable authenticator for the active worker that allows them to prove who they are with a single tap. It features multi-factor authentication based on something you are, i.e. your fingerprint, and something you have, which is the Nymi Band. The fingerprint model data is stored securely and processed securely in the Nymi Band, and it is always under the user's control. The Nymi Band also features an on-body detection system that determines if the band's being worn. Once it's on your wrist, it can be turned on with your fingerprint. And then anytime you need to prove who you are, the user just performs a simple tap and their identity is shown. Once the band is removed, it deactivates and cannot be used until it's reactivated with the user's finger. The Nymi Band replaces the need for username and passwords, as Mike was saying on the previous slide, and it is designed specifically for the pharma market. It's IP66N67 rated, meaning it can be cleaned with liquids. And finally, it offers wireless communication to connect it to the outside world. So when coupled with the on-body detection system I just mentioned, it means the Nymi Band can be used while wearing PPE. Jeff, let's go to the next slide and I'll talk a little bit about some of the use cases for the Nymi Band. Perhaps the most valuable use case for the Nymi Band is creating a signature. This is often done many times per shift, and using the band for signatures is so much easier for operators and increases security at the same time. Importantly, as I mentioned, the band works through PPE like gowns and gloves. So it's isolated from the environment, which is often quite sensitive, in which the operator works. A related use case to electronic signatures is passwordless logon. With the tap of a band, the operator can start a Windows session. And if configured, the Windows session can be automatically locked if the operator leaves the terminal or they take the band off. Finally, it can also open doors and lockers thanks to the inbuilt support of physical access credentials. So you can see how the Nymi Band is quite important and eases the day in the life for the operator. You just tap and you get in. On the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about the life cycle for the band. Great. So it begins when the operators first issued the band. They go through a one-time setup process that ties the band's identity to the user's corporate identity. And then the users walk through a fingerprint registration process that creates a model of their finger that's securely stored in the band. At the start of a day or the start of a shift, the operator clasps the band on their wrist and activates it with their fingerprint. Then they go about donning any other required PPE to start the day. Anytime, as I mentioned, the operator needs to prove who they are, they just tap the band on a reader. Once the day is over, they remove the band from the wrist, which deactivates it so it can no longer be used by anybody else. Jeff, let's go to the next slide. You might be wondering how Nymi is able to turn any user authentication into a single tap. Well, we have a few ways of accomplishing this. I'll start from the bottom and work my way up. The Nymi Band comes out of the box with support for a number of industry standards. Those include things like FIDO2, which is an emerging passwordless standard, HID COS, and LEGIC Advent. So out of the box, Nymi will connect to systems that support these standards. If a target application doesn't support one of these standards, Nymi will often work with vendors to incorporate Nymi technology into their products. And we've got a number of those today. Finally, for applications where the application can't be updated, Nymi offers an enterprise SSO solution that allows you to connect the Nymi Band directly to target applications without modification. Jeff, maybe it's time to show a little demo of the band. Okay, so this is my colleague Gregor, and he's going to show how the Windows logon use case works with the Systec tablet. You can see he's got a band in his hand and it's already connected to his corporate ID. He's going to clasp it to his wrist, and once the band detects that it's on his person, it'll prompt him for his fingerprint. Great, so he's signed into the band, and you'll notice it said his name on it. In a moment, he'll tap the band on the NFC reader connected to the tablet. Great, he's in. Because we've configured it, the tablet actually knows that Gregor is near the tablet. If he walks away from it, or he takes the band off, the tablet will lock. Perfect. That's the end of the demo. Jeff, back to you, or maybe Mike, you pick it up from here. Mike, you're on mute.
Thank you.
There we go.
The tablet you see here in the slide we're showing is the final version. I think the one in the video is one of the first versions that came out. This tablet, of which I have one and have been loaning it out to a number of companies who are testing it, evaluating, and appreciating the value of a Nymi Band and a tablet, everything portable in their clean room. So you're looking at the final version now. These are actual photographs. It is an IP65 rated tablet. This one is on a Microsoft Surface Pro Windows 10 or 11. The small black object you see off to the left side is the NFC and BLE reader. There's two ways you can order this. One of them is just a near-field communication. The other one is a NFC and a Bluetooth Low Energy BLE dongle that's on the side, and it goes right into the side of the tablet itself. And it is made of a plastic. I know we had a little hiccup here in the internet, so I'm not sure if I lost this sentence earlier, but to allow radio waves to go back and forth, stainless steel isn't a good choice. It is a plastic that will withstand all of the cleaning protocols, as I said earlier, from like a spore cleanse at 1.9 pH to a 40% sodium hydroxide and every other compound you can think of, alcohol, purified water, etc. But it goes right into the side. You have the ability immediately, and everything that you just saw in the video there works perfectly. So next slide. So really how to get started, reach out to us, look through what you need. What I can tell you is a great way to get started. We do have a tablet here already that is out and about, being evaluated by customers evaluating both the Nymi technology and the Systec tablet at the same time. If you have any questions on the tablets, the performance, the pricing, how it all works, reach out to us. We would be happy to tell you and show you, maybe talk in a little more detail in a one-on-one situation. What we'd love to know is, what is your use case? What software are you working with? Is there an MES package you're working with? Are you looking for recommendations on an MES package? Let us know. We'd love to talk to you. And otherwise, it's all available for shipment technology. I mean, tablets have been around for a while. Systec tablets have been around for quite a while. NFC and Bluetooth have been around for a little while. Systec is the one who has put this all together and made it a single unit that can be in a clean room and withstand all the protocols that are out there. Next, Jeff. Any questions? I'm going to have to look on my phone because we were having some issues, especially my PC. Stuart, I think this is more for you. How does a Nymi Band work through a person's PPE?
Okay, that's a really good question and a very important one, because gowns and gloves and things are very common in the pharmaceutical manufacturing areas. It really comes down to two things. The first is the on-body detection system that I mentioned. So this is the thing that persists the operator's identity. They're challenged for their fingerprint once the band's on the body. And then thereafter, we don't need to verify who the user is anymore, because we know who they are, and we have that on-body system that knows the band is with their person. The second part of it is wireless communications. So, the usual day in the life is the operator gets the band, they authenticate it when it's on their wrist, then they layer up the PPE. Whenever they need to prove who they are, they'll just tap the band on an NFC reader or a Bluetooth reader, which are both wireless technologies and work through personal protective equipment.
Good. Let me see, one for me. Do the tablets have an integrated barcode scanner? They do. In our experience, there are other options that can be added, like from Cognex, as I mentioned earlier. Cognex is in the business of scanning 1D and 2D barcodes. I'm not getting paid by Cognex. I just know Grantek, which is also a systems integrator, has had great success using their products. We would recommend someone using Cognex. I'm sure there are other ones you can use. We know that one works very well. That would be our recommendation. Stuart, for you, are Nymi bands certified for use in ATEX rated areas?
So we get that question quite a bit. The Nymi band is not ATEX certified. It's something we're considering and thinking through, but the current band is not certified. What I will say is there are many areas where a different standard may be applicable. This is an ANSI standard, where there's more stringent tests that have been done on the band, and some of the features are deactivated, which makes it permissible in some of these other hazardous environments. For any interested customers or prospects that want to reach out and find out more, please do. You can contact us through our website. We'd be happy to have a more detailed discussion about it.
Stuart, again, for you, is there any software or service needed? So can you kind of go through the whole software portion of Nymi and integration, Active Directory, et cetera?
So out of the box, like I mentioned, there are a number of standards that sort of come prepackaged in the Nymi band, and those you can connect directly to your systems. There is a little piece of software that walks the user through the enrollment process. Beyond that, as I mentioned, we do have an SDK to help connect the band to other types of apps that don't support standards. And we have a software stack that allows us to connect to apps that cannot be modified at all. So it really depends on your environment and the types of apps you're connecting to.
Okay. One for me, the Systec tablets have built-in NFC readers for the Nymi bands, or would you need a separate unit to scan the band? So the Nymi tablet, like the base Nymi tablet, is a Microsoft Surface Pro inside stainless steel. It does not, this Microsoft Surface does not come with a native NFC reader, but through an through a USB port that Systec builds into their stainless steel housing. And I should point out this connector, it is not open. It's sort of a flush mount. This isn't the exact connector, but this is the technology where you really just have contact points that meet. And that's how the NFC reader physically and then logically connects to the tablet. It's all very cleanable. but that attaches to the side of the tablet. And then you have NFC and BLE capability with a Microsoft Surface Pro. So it's not truly native. Systec now has it available. Seems like a minor little addition, but it has great value in so many applications. Let me see, next one. Stuart, can you give us some feel for like installed base of Nymi? Like what does a typical installed base look like?
Install base, like number of users, or
yeah. Number of users, number of shifts, how many locations, that sort of thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can give sort of broad strokes. I mean, Nymi is deployed globally. We have users in North America, in Europe, in Asia. We have users everywhere. Nymi is deployed in 9 of the top 10 pharmaceutical manufacturing companies. And we are in a variety of environments. We're in pretty high-grade clean rooms. And we're on packaging lines, and we're on quality lines and so on. So Nymi is pretty widely deployed. The typical model is for our customers to start out somewhere with a pilot and show the value, and then we start sort of cascading from there. I hope that gives some insight into sort of the adoption of the product.
Okay, and the second half was, what might some of the challenges be? And I'm thinking, if you've got 500 bands at a location, how do you keep them straight? How do you make sure a person grabs the right one, not the wrong one? How do you keep them charged?
That's a really good question. We have some bulk charging solutions available. Nymi makes them. We have partners like Grantek that also make customized solutions for our customers. It just depends on the fit for the environment. But usually, we recommend centralized charging and storage locations. So this keeps the bands going back to the same location, a little bit like a car in a parking lot, right? You get a designated spot. That's where your band lives and gets charged. In terms of knowing which band is which, during the setup process, the user has the option of putting a little identifier on the band. Actually, in the demo video where Gregor was walking through the Windows logon use case, if you paid close attention, you could see his name show up on the screen. So it's just a part and parcel of some of the things, some of the little things we have to put in the product to make sure users are successful.
Good. Let me see. Are you familiar with a package called Okta? O-K-T-A?
I am. Okta.
Okay. New one for me. Does Nymi interface with Okta?
Definitely. So that is one of the nice out-of-the-box solutions. The interface is through 502, that emerging passwordless standard I mentioned. In fact, it's usernameless and passwordless. And so we connect right out of the box. You connect an NFC reader to your PC or your tablet, and with a tap of the band, you can prove who you are through the Okta single sign-on system.
Okay. Thank you for knowing how to pronounce that. Proof these questions are real. The last one, someone did ask about some documentations, case studies, use cases on best practices on using Systec tablets and Nymi bands. The answer is yes, we have them. Jeff, I'm assuming we have everyone's email address, obviously, and I have your name here for the person who wrote that. We will get it out. If anyone else has an interest in that, the use cases and white papers and things like that, we will get that to you. So just let us know, drop us a note. The answer to your question is yes, and yes in terms of NFC and iGel and all the other questions that this person put in there. We will get that to you. Any other ones from anyone? It's quite a good bunch of questions there. And Stuart, anything you feel anyone didn't ask that you wish they had asked? There's always that question you wish somebody asked you about.
Let me think. we've covered all the common ones. Cleaning often comes up, Mike, as you
Okay.
know. The band is, like I said, IP66, IP67 rated. Nymi has pretty stringent, cleaning test protocol, where we actually test the band with different cleaning agents and different procedures for cleaning. It's pretty varied as to how customers prefer to clean the band. We do have a guide that sort of walks through different methods for cleaning it.
Okay. And the last question asked was, is the NFC BLE reader on a Nymi tablet removable? At the moment, and this is the first release, no, they are attached. They can be attached at the factory by Systec. You can attach them. There is a very strong adhesive two-sided tape that holds them extremely securely in place, and then they are sealed. So at the moment, no. Maybe in the future, yes, but at the moment, they're put on and they're permanently there. If there's not another question, thank you very much for attending. As I said, there was one request for use cases, white papers, etc., and we'll get that out. If somebody else wants that, let us know. We'll get that to you as well. But we really appreciate you giving us 30 or 40 minutes of your time. It's seems like a small couple of little devices here, but they have a great deal of value in areas where in the past it was very difficult to deploy all of this technology and do an upgrade and move away from paper. And while it just seems like paper on glass, as we opened with, data integrity, starting with the creation and speeding up, getting it into an automated data repository is very valuable. And writing something once instead of twice or three times is very important. And between the Nymi Band, the reader from Systec, and the tablet from Systec, all can be deployed in a clean room. All of that automates so many things right at the front line where it's happening. And the creation aspect of data integrity is covered immediately. So if there's anything else, let us know. And I see a few more people saying yes to the white papers, etc. We will get them out. Thank you very much.